Coming up, 9 million Kazakh residents are expected to get booster jab in the first half of 2022. According to the Health Ministry, about 450,000 people have received it so far. Kazakhstan will reduce the import of building materials. Its share will decrease from 42% to 27% by 2025. Full house and ovation. Kazakh artists successfully completed a concert tour in France and returned home. Details about their tremendous performances and impressions exclusively in our news digest. Kazakhstan is set to expand the list of facilities available for its residents only with a green health status in the Ashik app. The government offered to introduce this rule from the beginning of next year. From January 5th, these preventive measures will be in effect in shopping and entertainment centers, malls, markets, sports and recreational, yoga and fitness centers, karaoke, swimming pools, saunas, baths, banks, post offices and public service centers. To date, the capital and North Kazakhstan region remain in the yellow zone, while the rest of the regions are in the green zone. The situation with coronavirus in the country is stable. Over the past 2 weeks, the morbidity has decreased by a third. Booster vaccination rates are planned to be accelerated. 5 million more doses of vaccines will be delivered to the country. Mass booster vaccination should be reinforced. 9 million people need to receive booster jabs in the first half of next year. I request the Ministry of Information, the Health Ministry, and governors of the regions to enhance awareness raising with the population on the need for booster vaccination. Kazakhstan detected 354 cases of the coronavirus infection in the past 24 hours. The highest single-day case count was recorded in the capital again. 76 people were infected in Nur-Sultan. Karaganda region came second with 65 COVID patients. The city of Almaty took the third place with 49 infected. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the total number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country has exceeded 986,000. More than 17,000 people in Kazakhstan continue to receive treatment for COVID-19. More than 2,500 out of them are in hospitals. Over 8,473,000 people have been fully vaccinated with 2 components in the country to date. According to WHO, the Omicron variant has already been identified in 110 countries. The new wave of the virus continues to spread to more and more regions, hitting new highs. Daily COVID-19 infections in France have exceeded 100,000, so the country's authorities are imposing additional virus measures. From January 3rd, all employees who can work remotely will be asked to do so. A maximum of 2,000 people will be able to attend indoor mass events. In addition, residents will be required to wear masks outdoors as well. The authorities are encouraging the population to get the third dose of the vaccine. The country reduced the wait time before booster to 3 months after initial vaccinations. The Chinese city of Xi'an is still under full lockdown. The city, with a population of 13 million people, reports about 150 new cases of COVID-19 every day. This is the highest rate since the onset of the pandemic. The spread of infection within the city has not yet been contained, despite strict restrictive measures. All domestic flights from Xi'an have been cancelled, and intercity traffic has been restricted. Residents are undergoing mass PCR testing and are not allowed to leave their homes until a negative result is obtained. We have taken tough measures to contain the outbreak. We are actively conducting PCR testing and patient surveillance. I think we can stop the spread of the virus by January 20th. The United Kingdom will celebrate the holidays without further COVID restrictions due to the Omicron variant, Health Secretary Sajid Javid announced. In a country which monitors the epidemic situation on a daily basis, the spread of the virus is not yet a concern. There has been no increase in new cases. In the meantime, the head of the relevant department urged residents to take precautions and recommended that they celebrate the New Year on the streets if possible, and in case of an indoor party, ventilate the premises.
Well, of course, we look at the data on a daily basis. That hasn't changed over the Christmas period, but there will be no further measures before the new year. We won't be taking any further measures. Of course, people should remain cautious as we approach New Year celebrations. Whilst there's still a lot of uncertainty around this new variant, we do know that our very best form of defense is vaccination.
26 new bills will be drafted in Kazakhstan in 2022. 16 of them will carry out the instructions of the head of state. It is expected that 7 draft laws will be developed in the first half of 2022 and the remaining 19 in the second half of the year. The draft social code and the bills on local self-government, professional qualifications, development of agglomerations and heat power engineering are among them. A total of 25 bills were adopted this year, 5 of which were signed by the president of the country, 1 was adopted by the parliament and 18 are under consideration by the MPs. Another 1 will be tabled in parliament by the end of the year. 165 new projects in the construction industry will be implemented in Kazakhstan by 2025. They will allow the domestic market to get rid of the import of building materials. Approximately 1.66 trillion tenge was allocated for these purposes. Over 16,000 new jobs are also expected to be created in the country, said Kazakh Minister of Industry Bibut Atamkulov during the government's meeting. The launch of new production facilities will completely cover the domestic demand for concrete goods, dry mixes, brick, glass, cable, chipboard and facade panels. Hence, the proportion of imports of building materials will be halved. In general, these measures are aimed at preventing the rise in housing prices in the country.
Бұл жобаларды іске қосу ішкі нарықтағы импорт үлесін шамамен 60%-ға төмендетеді.
The introduction of such projects will reduce the share of imports by 60% in the domestic market and prevent the fluctuations in prices for building materials. The new projects will allow covering the average annual need of $700 million for more than 10 types of goods by 2025.
700 миллион ақш доллары көлемінде өтеуге мүмкіндік береді.
Uzbekistan climbed several positions in a number of international rankings. The Central Asian country went 14 points up in the Rule of Law Index, becoming one of the 3 countries with the best indicators in this field. In the Global Innovation Index, Uzbekistan rose by 7 points and took 86th place out of 132. In an index that reflects the results of reforms to develop entrepreneurship, improve the business environment and reduce the tax burden, the country ranked 88 among 156 states. The trade turnover between Kyrgyzstan and Russia has grown by almost 40% over 10 months of this year. The countries made a profit of $1.925 billion. Companies from Russia and Kyrgyzstan are intensively expanding their partnerships. About 20 export agreements in the amount of nearly $60 million have been reached. Work is currently underway to create joint assembly plants in Kyrgyzstan. Tajikistan intends to achieve energy independence by 2028. As the country's president announced, the energy capacity here will be brought up to 10,000 megawatts. Emomali Rahman stressed that a special emphasis is placed on developing green energy. About 98% of electricity in Tajikistan is produced by renewable energy sources. The volumes will be increased by 4,000 megawatts in the next 7 years, thanks to the launch of the Rogun hydropower plant, the reconstruction of Nurek, Sarband and Kayrakum plants. 3 renewable energy projects will be implemented as well using wind and solar energy. The Walk of Fame of Kazakh cinema was replenished with new names. The Kazakh Film Studio hosted the ceremonial opening of memorable stars to 13 famous filmmakers who made a contribution to domestic cinema. Among them are people's writer Olzhas Suleymanov, veteran of Kazakh cinema Kadir Kosai, people's artist of Kazakhstan Kuman Tastambekov, honored artist of Kazakhstan Miruert Utekesheva, first Kazakh cameraman Iskander Tynishbaev, and others. The event was dedicated to the 80th anniversary of the Almaty Newsreel Studio and the International Cinema Day. The Walk of Fame of Kazakh cinema was opened in the fall of 2011.
Қазіргі қазақ киносы бүкіл әлемнің кинозалдарында көрсетіліп жатыр. Жақсы пікірлер алып.
Today, modern Kazakh films are screened in cinemas around the world. Domestic works receive positive feedback from viewers. Our movies take first places at major international film festivals, which means that they are highly appreciated by professional jury and critics. In general, Kazakh cinema is booming now. Our main task is to make Kazakh movies recognizable in the world. I am sure that the history of our people should be showed in our films, so that, thanks to film production, as many people in different countries as possible know about us, our rich culture, eventful history and unique traditions.
Биыл бізде Мұқағали фильм жарыққа шықты. Ақын Дарижан Өмербаевтың Ақын фильмі жарыққа шықты. Сосын Қасымхан биыл
We released Mukagali film this year. Akın movie by Darijan Ömerbayev premiered as well. We also made a film about Kasımhan. Shooting of Altın Adam animated film is in progress. Tamir's movie really impressed viewers globally. It was a big release in the US. 8 countries acquired the rights to screen this film, translated it into their languages, dubbed it. We are working with Netflix now, offering them our films. They are looking into them. Perhaps this platform will have our movies next year.
Сол нарыққа шықты. Үлкен жұмыс істеп жатыр. Қазір Netflixпен жұмыс істеп жатырмыз. Оларға өзіміздің фильмдерді ұсынып жатырмыз. Олар қазір қарап жатыр. Егер бәрі жақсы болса, келесі жыл Netflixке біздің фильмдер болады.
Full house and ovation from the enthusiastic audience. Kazakh artists successfully completed a concert tour in France and returned home. FORTE TRIO visited several cities of this European country and were warmly received everywhere. The final performances took place in the city of Lyon in the legendary performance hall Salle Molière. Musicians were the first Kazakhs to perform on this historic stage.
Эти гастроли нам запомнились залами.
We will remember this tour by the halls. I'm sure that the French have a lot of them. But as I said, first impressions are very important. For example, I remember when we were performing in the Salle Quarto Hall, which is in Paris. This hall is such a sensation, and the hall has a soul. I was very happy to play in this and other halls. This one won my heart, that's for sure.
Был рад играть вот именно в этом зале и других.
Kazakh classical music received a tremendous response among French art lovers and local Kazakhs, who did not miss the opportunity to enjoy the concert of musicians who came from their homeland. And good for them. Kazakh artists once again presented on the international stage the richest traditions not only of world music, but also of domestic one.
Постарались учесть интересы.
We tried to take into account the interests of the French audience, which is very fond of Western European classics, and Sergei Rachmaninov. We performed his Trio Elegiac No. 1. Of course, we also made sure that the French public heard their national music. This program featured Claude Debussy, and since we performed in the regions bordering Germany, we also included in our program the works by Johannes Brahms, one of the most famous composers who left a great chamber legacy. Laureate of international competitions, talented musician Shulpan Mankeyeva also conquered the prestigious stage of France. This tour was her debut with FORTE TRIO.
Здорово, что всегда была возможность.
It's great that I always had the opportunity to try something new in my playing, to extract new colors, to try new sound production, because each hall had different and very special acoustics. And, of course, it was nice to perform in France, because we always received a warm response from the audience. And this inspired us even more.
И это еще больше нас вдохновляло.
The final concert of the trio, which won the hearts of the most sophisticated spectators of France, symbolically coincided with the end of the concert season in this country. This tour became not only a gift for classical music fans, but also a bright event marking the 30th anniversary of Kazakhstan's independence.